And with if you see that you're just pushing too hard, and I suppose this is with anyone. Do you back up so that you don't lose them? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what coaching is. I mean, I never want a player to look at me and tap out. I have to be a good enough coach to understand when to pull the reins back on them. But I want them to go 100% at all times. It's my job to change the workouts and change the situation. But the mindset, I don't want to change. I want the mindset to be I'm going to go as hard as I can, do my job every day. You know?
He's so huge that is he really that much overweight? I mean, being that huge, he's going to be.
I mean, it's still time. He's been here for a short period of time.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of hard to make over judgments and rash decisions. You know, but you know, it's something that's constantly evaluated. I mean, obviously, you can tell that that he has some great potential. That's what we're working on now.
You talked a little bit about you kind of approach each player, more specifically position, a little differently based off what the position coaches are asking you to do from those guys. But do you have an overall mission statement, so to speak, that you came in with, or like overall philosophy that you try to stick to?
Yeah, I mean, I think those are your fundamentals. I mean, those are your coaching principles. You know, those are the things. You know, those are the accountability and discipline. And, on a piece of paper, they're just words, but then you have to bring them, into light and show them what actually accountability and discipline and doing things the right way are, and being a teammate. What is a teammate? So those are the things that you structure and put in your workouts to try and help them along to understand what they are. So you have a word of accountability. Well, what is it? Well, we're going to weigh in every day. We're going to chart every exercise, every rep that you do. A coach is going to be coaching you on everything. So then you explain to them that's what accountability is. When everything that you do, we're going to be watching it, we're going to be counting it, we're going to make sure it's done the right way. Discipline is when it gets hard to make sure that you stay with your form. You don't break down your form. In my world, you don't break down your form or technique, you finish through it. It's being disciplined. So those are the things that you try, and those are the buzzwords, coaching buzzwords, and some of your fundamentals of philosophy that you have to put them into action. So it's more of your plan of action.
You hear, talking to some of these guys that had to put on weight, they talk about how hard it was to, because you had to eat all the time, most people hear that, like, why would it be that hard to eat? Yeah, that sounds real easy. Can you kind of explain a little bit, like, why that is a difficult process?
Well, I mean, number one, you just can't just eat to eat. You have to eat with a sense of purpose and know what you're putting on your plate. So you have to have some type of, once again, buzzword discipline. But also, when you're working to extreme fatigue, your body wants to go, as I call it, night-night. You want to rest, you want to lay down, you want to sleep. So those are the type of situations that makes it kind of hard. Or when you lose, my thing is you always see differences in guys' weights from Friday to Sunday. Why is that? Because those are the days you have the least amount of structure in your life. So those are individual decisions that they have to make to be able to carry through, because they're going to want to sleep just like anybody else. If you got up every day at 6, you get Saturday, the average person. Do you think the average work person in America gets up at the same time? No, they're probably sleeping in Saturday and Sunday. Well, you can't afford, if you're trying to gain weight, you can't afford to sleep in. You have to make the proper decision that night, to make a great decision that night that you're going to go to bed, because you want to get up, not necessarily at the same time, but you have to get up early to make sure you eat breakfast too, because you can't miss a meal. You got to make sure you're hydrating. So that means you got to carry water around with you. You got to refill it. You got to do all the small things add up.
You're becoming somewhat of a icon around here for what you've done with some of these guys. We all get to see the differences in their bodies and stuff like that. But somebody was talking the other day, said you might be a boxer. Is that a true story, or just more of the legend of Coach Holsopple?
I mean, I don't know if I am. I was. I'd say the proper terminology. But like I told the guys downstairs, I think honesty is the number one thing. That's usually honest evaluation, which is another one of Coach White's staples. I think that's what I try and build with them. So it has nothing to do with, has really nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with the players. They're the ones who have to go through and work, and at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to go through and eat and do the extra work. It's not me, it's them. The same thing as what I tell them. It's not necessarily about me, and I have a great strength staff. It's not about that. It's about those guys.